All right, so welcome to another deep dive. And this one is, well, it's a little different. This time you guys only sent us a single document.
Oh, wow.
It's called nijiga.pdf.
And, well, I'll be honest, I was pretty curious when I saw it.
Yeah, I can imagine. The title alone is provocative, to
Yeah,
say the least.
exactly. And, well, the content, it's kind of striking.
Yeah.
Basically, the entire document, it's just the phrase, "What's up, my nigga?" over and over and over again.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That's
Yeah.
certainly a choice. So what are we hoping to get out of this deep dive?
Well, that's the big question, right? I mean, we've got this one phrase, this one dot statement repeated endlessly. It's almost like a minimalist art piece in a way.
It is kind of like that, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But even in that simplicity, I mean, there's a lot to unpack, like what's the intention behind it?
Right. Like, is it trying to make a statement? Is it social commentary? Or is it like some kind of coded message?
Yeah, exactly. All those possibilities are there. And then there's the word itself, right? Nigga.
Yeah.
I mean, that word carries a lot of weight, a lot of history.
Mm.
Oh, absolutely. It's a word that's evolved over time from being a racial slur to being used as a term of endearment in some communities.
Right, exactly. So like, is the creator of this document trying to reclaim the word to like subvert its power?
That's one interpretation, yeah. Or maybe it's a commentary on how language itself can be used to both empower and, to oppress.
It's like, think about protest chants, right? The way repetition can amplify a message. But then again, there's also that thing where if you repeat something enough times...
It loses its meaning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So is that what's happening here? Is this document like trying to desensitize us to the word? Or is it actually trying to, make it even more impactful?
It's almost like the creator is holding up a mirror to society,
Yeah.
Like, here's this word, now you deal with it.
Yeah, I get that. It's definitely forcing a confrontation. And there's no easy answer, right? The meaning, it's really in the eye of the beholder.
Which is kind of unsettling, I think. We're so used to looking for clear-cut answers, but this document, it just resists that.
And that resistance in itself is kind of powerful,
Yeah.
It forces us to engage with the ambiguity, with the nuances of language and meaning.
And then there's the fact that we have no context, right? We don't know who created this document, when they created it, who they created it for.
Yeah, that makes it even tougher to interpret, for sure. But it also opens up like a whole range of possibilities.
It's like a puzzle with missing pieces.
Yeah.
We have to fill in the blanks with our own experiences, with our own understanding of the world.
And that means the meaning, it's not fixed. It evolves with every interaction, with every new perspective. This document, it becomes a collaborative piece of art, almost.
Shaped by the very people who engage with it.
Exactly. And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting, so compelling. We're not just analyzing a document, we're exploring the very nature of language itself.
Its complexities, its contradictions, its power to both unite and divide.
Yeah.
It's a lot to think about. It's funny, when you think about it, this document with just this one phrase, it really touches on a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Art and how we communicate.
Yeah, and the way it uses repetition, to create a kind of visual rhythm. Like you see that phrase over and over, page after page, and it's like almost like a visual mantra,
Yeah, it's true. I hadn't thought of it that way, but it's like like concrete poetry, where how the words look on the page is like just as important as the words themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And then you think about the phrase they chose, and how loaded it is, and then they put it in this visual format. I don't know, it kind of amplifies it all.
It does. I was thinking about it, and it's like it's almost like one of those minimalist sculptures, but like made out of dynamite or something,
Mm-hmm.
You see these clean lines, it's like stark beauty, but then you're thinking about the potential for it to just explode.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. There's this like tension there that keeps you hooked. You're trying to make sense of it, like how can something so visually simple be so heavy at the same time?
Right. And like that struggle to figure it out, it becomes part of the experience. It's like the document's asking you, hey, how long can you look at this? Can you handle this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like how we take in information these days, We're constantly scrolling and scrolling and it's all just noise after a while. But this document, it makes you stop.
Yeah. You can't just scroll past it. You have to stop and look at it. Really look at it and think about what those words mean and how they make you feel.
It's like it's forcing you to wake up and pay attention, like an intervention or something.
And that's where the good stuff happens.
Right.
Like when you start thinking critically about it, like, what's the point of this thing? Am I bringing my own baggage to it? How does this fit into the bigger conversations we're having about race and identity and all that?
Exactly. Makes you think about all that stuff. It's interesting because the document itself doesn't really offer any answers.
Yeah.
It just throws that phrase at you again and again, and you have to figure out what it means.
It's true. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
It reminds me of conceptual art,
Yeah.
where it's not about what you see, but about the idea behind it. This document, it's like a blank canvas for you to project your own interpretation onto it.
Exactly. And when you do that, when you bring your own experiences and biases and all that to it, that's when things get really interesting. I mean, that's where the real depth is. It's not just about what the creator meant, it's about what it means to you.
I bet some folks listening are like, okay, so what? What does this all mean for me? Like, why should I care about some document filled with the same phrase over and over?
That's a good question, and it gets to the heart of why this document matters. It's like it's showing us how much words really shape the way we see things.
Yeah, you're right. Like, it makes you stop and think about the words we use,
Yeah.
the weight they carry and how they affect other people. It's wild how such a simple thing, just one phrase repeated,
Yeah.
can start these huge conversations and make us question what we believe.
And think about how much repetition we see every day. Ads, political speeches, it's everywhere. And it's all designed to change how we think and what we do. I think this document is like a wake-up call. It makes us pay attention to all that.
Totally. And it makes you think about how language changes over time, too. Like, words mean different things depending on the culture and what's going on in society. This document, it shows how fluid language is, how there's not always one right answer, especially with a word like, well.
Right, exactly. And that can be kind of scary, not knowing for sure, but it can also be freeing in a way. It forces us to go beyond simple definitions and try to understand language in a deeper way.
Yeah, I get that. This document is a tiny version of this huge conversation that's happening about language, about how it impacts society. It makes us think about identity and power and how we express ourselves.
Absolutely. And maybe it doesn't give us the answers, but it gives us something even better. A chance to look inward, to think about ourselves. How do we use language? What do we assume about other people because of the words they use?
It's like a challenge to do better, to be more aware, to use language to heal instead of to hurt.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one last thing to think about. What did this document make you feel? What questions did it make you ask yourself? Did it change the way you think about language?
Those are great questions. Thanks for joining us on this journey, everyone. We hope this deep dive gave you something to think about. Until next time, keep exploring and asking questions.